Good morning, Vietnam. Wait, no, wrong show. Wrong show.
Great movie, though.
Yes,
Great movie. Good morning, everybody.
Oh, hell. Anybody else losing their voice? No?
Yeah.
Just
Just
me?
you and your oldest brother.
So our
He
niece
came over last night and he couldn't talk a lick.
our niece graduated from Texas Tech this weekend. Don't ask about the fucking hotel we stayed in. But
What do you mean? I think it was a 1.5-star hotel.
dude, that thing wasn't even a half-star hotel. But 2 degrees, and it was kind of funny because the Boivins as a whole, we are a loud fucking family, right? We are loud, but we screamed so damn loud when she walked across the stage, we delayed the entire ceremony because they had to pause and let us finish screaming.
Well, I thought the coolest thing on the world was when she went across the stage and we were so loud. As soon as she got her degree, she turned around. She stopped, turned around, and waved to our entire section.
She knew it.
And she was the only person out of probably, I don't know, there were several hundred kids that graduated, and she was the only one that stopped and actually did that. So I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah, I had a lady sitting next to me, and I promise you, when my niece goes across stage, just cover your ears.
And when you guys are at the summit, I can show you guys the video. And I took a video of the whole thing, and you can just hear the whole stadium erupt. But it was just our section.
Just the whole family, right? And some immediate friends. So it was really cool. And then Kevin and I just got back from the Battle Business Summit, man. That was freaking awesome.
I just got back at like 1:30 in the fucking morning.
You sound like Hauser. I think Hauser is still stuck somewhere.
Yeah, Hauser got delayed at 3 different airports. Brian is still in Atlanta.
Oh, God.
So, yeah, the whole, basically Sunday was like all thunderstorms all day in Atlanta, and it completely screwed up the whole fucking...
Well, and you realize that is the single busiest airport in the entire United States. So when they get weather...
and someone said, well, flying out of Atlanta in the summer, this is what you get. I'm like, oh, so I don't want to come back here now. This sucks. So,
actually, Atlanta called. They don't want you back.
I will say that, the hotel we stayed at in Atlanta was a cool home hotel.
Yep.
But have you guys ever seen the Wesley Snipes, Sylvester Stallone movie, where they're the future cops? They both in like Frozen in Time.
Demolition Man, right?
In that hotel, I felt like I had the 3 seashells and I didn't know how to use the fucking things. Everything was digital or Alexa. There was no closets, just a rack that you hung your stuff on. And the refrigerator was a drawer that didn't get cold. But it was a Hard Rock Reverb and right across from Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Oh, that was really, really cool place.
So you missed all kinds of excitement on Saturday and Sunday.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, so Brian ended up spending the night in the emergency room. So there was all kinds of drama about that. And did he tell you his stories? If he didn't tell you his stories, I have some funny ones for you later from him about his time at the emergency room at a city general hospital. So that, but I kind of have it was an awesome event, but I kind of have a little bit of a rant about it.
Okay.
We had 4 speakers that didn't show up until their time to speak.
Oh, Lord.
Granted, one of them is fine because he's a former NFL player, and I kind of don't expect him to like spend a bunch of time, with us, because I'm sure he was speaking like multiple other places this week. So, that's cool. But for normal speakers, you need to come to these events. You need to show up and be there. Just Donnie was there a day, and I know you made a ton of connections. I was there the whole weekend. I have 4 podcast guests for us. I'm on 3 news shows. I have a potential Champions Table member from Sunday. Probably a $300,000 referral for Chad King. There's all this opportunity going along for collaboration and opportunities for your business. And if you aren't there and you just like, I got to go on stage for my hour and then I can go, you're dumb. You are an idiot.
I mean, there was guys there that are running 9-figure businesses that stayed the entire damn time.
And they were looking at, how do I work with these other people? How do we collaborate? How do we do stuff? They were in it to figure out, all right, so what's my next big move? And they didn't care where it came from. So it just shocks me when people do that kind of shit.
For sure. Zach did a VIP event with all the speakers, and what a missed opportunity for any of the speakers that didn't show up, because I had more collaboration conversations during that dinner, right? With some freaking heavy damn hitters. That was a really cool moment. So I think people really screwed up by, being, I don't know, hoity-toity. I get it. You run a $500 million freaking company, and there's a lot of moving parts. You maybe can't stay for a little while, but to swoop in at the last minute and swoop the fuck out, is.
And we had a speaker's room. So if you're a speaker and you needed to go take care of some business for a bit, there was a place you could go do it. You could literally go there, jump on your laptop, make some calls, do some stuff, and take care of your shit and still be able to be present. And I think that's one of the cool things about the summit that we do is that the speakers are there the entire time.
Yeah, they're not allowed to fly in, fly out.
Yeah, we had that happen once. We had multiple people comment. We're like, yeah, that's never happened.
My problem as a speaker is I'm always having to sign autographs and stuff like that. So I don't have a choice. I have to go hide somewhere and get in and get out.
And people are still like, who are you?
Still sign autographs. It might have been the bill at the bar that I'm signing, but to me, it's an autograph.
That's about all I've signed is a bill at the bar. But Atlanta's expensive, man. Like drinks at the different hotels were like $25 a pop. Yeah. Don't ask about what I paid for an old fashioned at the airport, but geez, oh Pete.
Which one? Not which airport, which old fashioned.
So it was on the planes, it was the pre-mixed cans, which actually aren't that bad. So if you don't know, a lot of the planes you can actually order it old fashioned by the can.
No idea.
Then nobody knows how to make a good old fashioned at an airport, but it's drinkable. So, all right, well, let's kick this thing on. Good morning, everybody. Who's saying howdy and hello that I didn't see? Oh, popping in there. Let's kick this thing along. That was a great video. I covered this much of the screen.
I know, I was going to say.
I really edited the shit out of that one.
That was fantastic.
So today I'm going to talk about intention, man. There were so many good moments at the summit. I got to see some of the up-and-coming speakers that were really cutting their teeth. But Dave Hauser put out a statement when he was giving his speech that I love it. And what he said was, what is your legend? What is the thing that they're going to say about you when you're not around? And taking the time about being intentional and defining what that legend is. And I thought, God, it's such a rad thing to think about, because I've never actually tried to go, what are they going to say when I'm not around? I just thought about putting a shit ton of value in the thing, and we'll just see where the stars lay. But I really love that idea of sitting down and defining what your actual legend will be. And then Casey Sullivan, sometimes called by Sully, she's a former international model. She's president of one of our chapters in the Atlanta market. She was talking about confidence and how your outward appearance oftentimes will reflect your inside confidence. And I love that statement and phrase. And one of the things she said in there is, are you living with intention? And how are you intentionally doing the things? And we'll talk about this a little more with the podcast I gave Kevin, which I'm sorry for the first 15 minutes of that podcast.
Oh, we're going to have words.
Yeah, fuck yes.
We're going to talk about that.
Oh, God, it was horrible. But the idea of living for the stories you can tell later versus living, kind of by the seat of your pants and how you're showing up. It was like, at that Zach's event, dude, there was just some heavy hitters that have done some serious cool things. Couple of Zach's coaches there, and Chris, one of Zach's coaches, is literally flying, I think, next week or the next couple of weeks to the Formula F1 headquarters to speak. He's then going to speak at Virgin. And was such a good dude. I had so many amazing conversations with him, but I had to keep telling myself, because I got a natural instinct that I love teaching people, right? And I want to give advice. In that room, man, I had to keep telling myself, dude, shut the fuck up and be the student, right? Learn. And
hang on. You told yourself to shut the fuck up?
Yes, I did.
We've all been thinking that for years and years. Finally, somebody got through to him and had to be himself.
Well, yeah, Donnie should have been wearing his, you were all thinking it, I just said it.
Said it right.
Yeah, exactly.
There's another guy on TikTok that I follow, and his name's Jason, so I can't remember his last name. But he said, man, one thing that I learned is if you walk into a room with billionaires, never talk business until they do. And so I kept telling myself as I'll get into these conversations, don't ask what they do, ask about the family, ask about, all the things they're into. And they're probably one of the coolest marriage pieces of advice I got was during that dinner from a guy that I wouldn't have looked at and said, this guy could give me advice in marriage because he's got a fucking beard down to his chin, fucking built like a brick shit house, and did not know how to fucking smile. I mean, he's just one of those guys.
We have pictures of him smiling, by the way.
I saw the one post. But he gave me some great advice. And, one of the things he said, because Elizabeth was able to quit her job and, come home, work the farm, he goes, give her purpose. He goes, she's been working for her entire damn life that she's going to go into a state of depression. And I'm like, dude, I've already seen that with her sitting on the couch longer and there's no direction at the moment.
Does that mean just give her a chore list?
Yeah, dude, that's what I thought. I was like, she's going to clean the house, mop the barns.
I can't wait to share that with my sister-in-law.
Yeah.
Well, but it was really, really cool to sit across from a lot of these people. And then, on my morning walk, I'm like, all right, how are you showing up? How are you living to be able to share and teach the stories? Versus just going through the motions, going through the rhythms. What does that look like? Casey said in her speech as well, she's like, what's your outfit, your personal image is your walking billboard. What's the intent behind it?
And nobody has better outfits than Casey.
Oh, dude, she was so classy, man. God, she was classy. And did like 200 outfit changes while she was there. And she makes most of her clothes.
And her jewelry.
We
had that conversation. I mean, she does an amazing job. So
very impressive event overall. But I challenge everyone to think about, are you actually living intentionally, or are you just kind of going through the motions? And I think a lot of times I'm not slowing down to go, what's the intent of this action? Why are you doing this thing? And, in addition to that, Twitter has been a platform that I've sucked at. I just can't get Twitter going. Sometimes I think the universe pops some crazy shit in your head when you're looking for it. But I got this email, and the guy's like, here's how I built my Twitter strategy. And it's fucking genius. He shows and walks you step by step of how to create these lists in Twitter. And you go, what are 10 people that you are just, you love their advice? So I put down people like Alex Hermosi, Huberman for Huberman Labs. And you can create this list that automatically you just click on it and it pulls up their latest posts and feeds so you can interact with it. So you do 10 of that. You do 10 people who are where you're at, where you want to be, and you put them in their own list. And then you put 10 people that are on the same level, same amount of followers as you are. And in freaking 5 to 10 minutes, you can go through and comment on all their comments and engage in all their stuff and be That's awesome. And out. Yeah, it was so fucking good. I mean, and just stupid shit like that. I thought, cool. Now I get to be intentional about Twitter because I'm like, the fuck? You just put out a post and comment on a post.
That would be why I got a notification from Twitter from Donnie this morning. I was like, what the hell am I getting Donnie's on Twitter now for?
He's being intentional.
I'm trying to be. Trying to be. I was intentional about getting the fuck out of that hotel too. So, but do we have a pitch slap today?
We do. So, did you know you can pitch slap in person?
No.
Yes, you can pitch slap in person.
I was ready to do that. It's like Kevin just got you right to fuck off.
So this was at the summit we were just at.
Oh, while I was still there?
Yeah, while you were still there. So Donnie's having this nice conversation with one of the attendees, and he's like, Kevin, come over here. I knew what was about to happen because this has happened before. And he introduces me. This is my tech guy. He knows all of my tech stuff. You guys need to chat, and he walks off. So
he was being intentional.
Yeah, he was definitely being intentional. So I started talking to this guy, and he's got this software thing that he's building, designing, and rolling out. That's some cool stuff. So he keeps pitching, features and benefits, and here's why you need to use the software, and here's why it's great, and all this stuff. And I'm asking, well, how are you doing things? And I'm asking all the tech questions that I want to understand how it would actually work with what we're doing to see if it's a fit, something we need to talk about or not. But as soon as I ask a question, he gives like a half answer and then goes back into pitch.
Yeah, I mean, that's 100% why I called Kevin over. I realized, because he had actually reached out to me on LinkedIn prior to say, hey, I'm looking forward to meet you. I thought it was cool, right? That was, being ahead of the game. And boy, man, did he start cornering the shit out of me. And he goes, I was trying to find my out. And he goes, well, we also have this software company that does, this automated stuff. I'm like, hold on. I'm literally yelling for Kevin across the damn room.
Yeah. Hey, Kevin, I know you're probably had a really cool conversation, but you need to come here now.
As soon as Kevin came up, I'm like, Kevin, meet this guy, and I'm out.
Yeah, and then I got there. It's kind of like when you get a reach out on LinkedIn, and it's like, yeah, this is totally going to be a pitch. As soon as Donnie came over and handed it off and then walked away, I'm like, yeah, I now know what I'm going to be doing for the next 5 minutes. So,
you're welcome. You're welcome. Yeah, but just so you guys know, if you're ever in a networking situation and somebody's hammering the hell out of you, two of my favorite moves in the world to get people away from you. The first one is the fake wave, where you literally go look over their shoulder, pretend there's somebody that you need to see, and you wave to them and go, sorry, a friend of mine just showed up.
And then walk to some random person.
Right. And just say, dude, you're saving my ass right now. So I'm sure you do something awesome, but right now you're my scapegoat. And then the second one is that I did to Kevin is always have a wingman when you're networking. So you can do what's called a dump and run. Me and Jason Smith used to do this back in the day. And we knew if one of us brought somebody up to us that we were getting ready to get dumped on. And inevitably we'd be at an event 2-3 times a night. We were dropping some asshole onto each other. And it was just that running joke where you knew it was coming, like, son of a bitch. But, it works. It works. Sorry, guys. I'm trying to get through this fucking voice. We'll see how it goes. All right, let's kick this thing over to...
May the podcast review be with you.
I still haven't updated the slide, but hey, we're getting it done. This is high class, high speed stuff here. So, all right,
Bernie, we so need you.
All right, Kevin, let me have it, because the one I gave you the first 15 minutes of this podcast.
All right, so let's break this down, because the other two didn't have the opportunity. I almost thought about playing just a little snippet of it so that they could experience the amazingness that Donnie gave me.
I speak on behalf of the audience. No.
So it starts off. This is a 29-minute podcast. All right, it starts off with 3 ads. Right away, and I'm like, oh god, another one. How are we gonna go? And then she jumps in it, and the topic. So let's remember this is how to live with intention. That is the title of the show. She goes into this verbal vomit of random thoughts and topics, from an encounter she had with some people on a subway to this new coffee shop, and she likes it because it has a lamb in the logo, and that's why, and she thinks lambs are cute, and that's why she wants to name her first dog Lammy, to this whole diatribe of nonsense. It was literally like watching, for us older people, the movie Valley Girls. I had the speed up to 1.5, so she was already talking fast. Like, oh my god, she's a freaking Valley Girl, and it was just absolutely, nothing of worth. She didn't start her topic, and I stopped. I made sure that I looked at that exact time that she actually started going into her topic. Well, she's prefaced the topic with like 14 minutes left, but then she did 5 more ads. And so she didn't actually start talking about her stuff until 10 minutes left in the show.
Wow. And I don't know how the Olsen twins and the random people on the subway had anything to do with living in intention. But by God,
I was like, there must be some way she's gonna tie this randomness in, and be like how she's living her life or something. But no. So I'm listening to this. I'm like, does Donnie hate me?
Yes.
I think I might hate him now. Oh my God. I'm like, I got home at 1:30. I had literally just got up. I'm like, oh my God, I got to listen to podcasts. And I put that on, and I'm like, I am not ready for this. This is a level of small talk that I'm not normally ready for in the middle of the day, let alone after I've just woken up. It was bad. But there was one thing out of her 10 minutes of actual content that I liked, that I was like, oh, that is an awesome question to ask yourself. And the question was, how would future you want you to react or handle this situation? What would future you want you to do in this situation? What would you a year from now want you to do? And one of the examples she gave was food and drink, because she said, I like to eat all the food and I like to drink all the alcohol. I'm like, that sounds like us. But she's like, I have to think to myself, what would me a year from me want me to do now? Would they want me to eat all the food and drink all the alcohol? Probably not. And that's kind of one of her ways to be intentional, make sure she's doing the right things in the right time and being present for things. So I thought that was a really cool question to ask.
Yeah, I agree with everything you had on the front end. And the back end, there was actually quite a few things in that little 10 minutes that was enough value. But I think that's why she keeps her teeny bopper audience, engaged, because that's definitely who she's talking to. But she said, live so your future self would love to tell the story. And I thought that's a cool way to think about it.
How old is this gal?
She's a millennial, so that's 25, 35 in that range. Right. And then Kevin already said the other one is how would you live in this moment as if you were telling the story a year from now, which is a cool way to look at it. She also said, don't worry, you're going to have blips. We all happen. You can try and live an intention all you want to, but life fucking happens. She also said, and these are just one-liners, don't let life live you, live your life. And I think that's something I should tell myself on a regular basis. And then the last one she said before the show went off, she goes, live your life as if the odds are in your favor. I think a lot of people go through life that something's always bad going to happen, right? The sky is always falling, Chicken Little style. And
it's that victim mentality.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Nothing's good going to happen. It's always going to be bad. It's, so.
Right. Man, when you get around somebody that's always negative, always the victim, everything's always bad, it sucks the ever-living life out of you.
Get that black cloud floating over their head.
Right, like you don't want to even talk to them or be around them, because anything that comes out of your mouth, they're just going to be negative about it. So, what Kevin gave me to, I don't remember the name of it. I took notes though.
Find hidden revenue in your existing sales.
Oh, yeah, this was so hard to listen to. It was so dry.
Payback, motherfucker.
Yeah, it really was.
I hadn't listened to it before. I'm like, oh, this actually sounds like a cool thing. And I listened to it. I'm like, oh, sweet. They're saying stuff that I say. So I really enjoyed it. And like,
I'm actually looking now. I didn't finish the episode. I still got 7 minutes left. I just
so do I, but that's because I ran out of time. I had to come hang out with you assholes.
But I did take some notes on it. He talked a lot about having systems to fill the gap from founder to the sales team, because the passion won't translate. So like how I sell will never be how somebody else sells. So you've got to find ways to automate and fill the gaps to replace that passion with some step. And then some of this was just traditional automation type shit, which is figure out where people are falling off in your system, go back and look particularly what you can do to fix, adjust, move that thing. He said one of the biggest things that people do is they overwhelm people. Even like when they come into your system, you throw too much shit at it. You should really release steps or things in steps and stages. So you sell to the next step, not the final outcome, which I thought was a really interesting thought process. Made you even think that, should we look at our onboarding process as a sequence of events versus one big freaking party? So,
yeah, I mean, people only can handle so much information at any one given time, right? So you almost have to chunk it down, keep it simple.
Barney, they should just figure it the fuck out. Look, here it is on a fucking silver platter. Get it done. Pitter patter. Let's get out of here. No.
We are going to be having Letterkenny references for a while, aren't we?
Yes. I didn't know it was a series. I just.
Oh God, yeah, it is. I had to show someone the. I can't remember. It was someone who hadn't seen it. I actually went and found one of the Mr. and Mrs. Dick reference scenes for them, so they could get the full experience. They're like, oh my God.
I just started trying to watch the first episode yesterday. I couldn't get into it, but I only gave it like 10 minutes. So
yeah. So the clips you'll see like on TikTok and stuff are really the best part, highlight stuff. Yeah. So there's some really funny things. So it's not like something you're going to be a main show. It's more like something.
It was weird. There's weird shit going on.
Yeah.
Well, they're Canadian.
So
well, that explains a lot.
They're Canadian. Their heads open weird when they talk, right? I mean,
yeah. We may have made that reference to Chris and Steven when we met them. Oh. Your heads don't move like the South Park Canadians at all.
All right, I just wanted to do a transition screen. I don't know why it was that one, just the one I grabbed. So let's talk about how we prospect. I think with different personalities and who we are and how we show up, I think we all prospect from very different ways. And I think it'd be good for everybody to kind of hear how each of the four of us prospect in our own right. So who wants to start us off? How do you prospect? And the crowd went fucking wild.
Everyone's like, pick me. Well, I think I've been pretty open and honest about how I prospect for a while. So, I'll go first. I use, when I am actively prospecting, I use Facebook groups as one of my key ways to fill my pipeline, get in front of people and have conversations. So, and I talked about that multiple times because everyone asked, how did you and Donnie get connected? So yeah, I end up having to tell that story all the time. But that was for me, once I figured out that process of not pitching in the group and not just trying to get immediately into a sales conversation, actually having the conversation public in the group so everyone can see it. That was like a huge change for the amount of conversations I was getting into from a cold outreach standpoint. So that was really cool. And then, previously, I guess currently, we can skip the previous part, but currently then, at events, I'll be doing the digital summit again here in a couple of weeks, and I'll be doing it again in Dallas in December. I use those a lot, and I actually will spend a lot of time. I stay at the event all 2 days because I want to talk to all the people. And I figure out who's who, and I'll always have people come up after I present to ask tons of questions and set up meetings and stuff. So being present at the event, like I talked about earlier, and taking advantage of those events, not just for a learning opportunity, but for a way to do outreach is key. It's huge.
Yeah, I agree. One of the things I talked about on stage there was, and I just asked the room, like, how many of you have spent all day long here and have not scheduled a virtual coffee or an in-person coffee with somebody, right? And it was like one person that had, actually set up a meeting with somebody else at the event. I'm like, why would you come to an event like this and not find ways and means? I've got 2 prospecting calls. I've got some get to know you calls. I got some collaboration calls, all set up from being at that event. So I used to be heavy networking. I used to be in the city doing everything. Everything for me now is virtual, unless I get the opportunity, like we did this weekend, to go speak at an event. So for me, it is all cold outreach, introductions, and referrals for me. And that's how I do everything. There's a lot of hand raising activities that I try to do, because I do a lot of podcast guesting. I try and do a lot of webinars, workshops, and the like. But for me, it's a lot of cold outreach, introductions, and referrals.
Yeah, for me, I spend a majority of my time doing networking events. So I do 3 or 4 different networking type groups throughout the week, and you're going to meet a ton of different people through doing things like that. So, and then I kind of back that up with spending a lot of time on LinkedIn. So, just being intentional with getting into groups, like I learned from Kevin, getting into some conversations in different private groups and Alignable or LinkedIn or Facebook or whatever it might be. So
I would say Keith also uses dating apps to prospect.
I was literally just talking about like Facebook dating, Tinder.
Bumble. Yeah, Bumble. You can find lots of friends.
Bumble.
2 new accounts in the last 6 weeks through dating apps.
Christian singles.
I don't think I've been on that one.
Very good. I can't say it's like every other day. Keith's like, so I met this gal and she's the VP of XYZ company or whatever. Like, maybe
It happens.
Start doing this. And of course, he's smart, because he did put a post out in one of the groups about, hey, I can't be the only single guy in here that's an entrepreneur. Anybody else did, and somebody used that to get to him, which was kind of a smart way to be introduced. So.
But there was 87 people that posted up their businesses in that singles group here in Dallas-Fort Worth, and it's kind of a cool way to collaborate with a bunch of people.
Totally thought the 87 was going to be referencing something else. I think Keith is turning a little red. At least redder than normal.
It's a sunburn. I was inside all day.
Yeah.
Mr. Mustache.
For me, it's a lot of networking, especially on my virtual producer services, just talking with people, helping them to get their message out there. But, trying to cultivate for my existing network as well, going and talking to the people that I've done business with and helping them to refer me.
That's awesome. And
to answer Jennifer J, yes, I background check every single one of those assholes.
Better.
I'm not saying anything.
I need to start background checking people on this damn call is what I need to start doing.
There's some days I want to run for president only because I want to know what happened in my 20s. I have no political things at all. I just want to know what happened to those years. But I think it's fascinating that different people, I've got a couple of buddies that are just straight gunslingers, and the idea of networking to them, they're like, why would I go to that? I wouldn't even do that, but they will hammer the shit out of the phones, and, they're closing, like the guy I'm thinking about, Austin, closed a $12 million deal at the end of last year. And he's like, networking's never going to get me where I need to go. I'm just going to hammer it. But not all people can be that much of a gunslinger.
But for the networking, if you're looking at those types of deals, you have to be in certain rooms. You can't just go to a general networking event that the chamber puts on.
Yeah, but when you're selling to print buyers and the likes, they're not anywhere. There's no events they're attending. There's no associations they're a part of, right? There are people that absolutely networking in general will not work to get to. Well, you can get introduced to them through networking, but that's, not your traditional, let's go to an event association or something and hang out.
Yeah.
So Because like
definitely knowing who your audience is and where they hang out and what they do and stuff like that is key to how you go do your thing,
right?
And where you do it at. So,
tell them how you figured out how to prospect with the doctors, Keith.
With the doctors?
Yeah, what's the thing you figured out when you walked in the door?
Oh, it's so funny. So, I worked for a small company working. We were selling into physician offices, and working against these billion-dollar companies, and there's like 13 sales reps in one small city. So nobody would give me the gatekeeper was the person sitting at the desk answering the phone. You could never get in and get an appointment. So I used to walk in and I would say, hey, I'm here to sell you guys a bunch of shit you probably don't need at prices that are probably way too high. And she'd put the phone down. She'd start laughing. She's like, you're the first honest salesperson I've ever met. Come on back. So I started actually teaching that in our entire region, and everybody started using this tactic. And all of a sudden, we actually had an extremely growthful year in the state of Indiana just using that tactic. So that's awesome. It doesn't matter what you do, right? You just got to figure out how it's going to work. Go try a bunch of shit. It took me 50 physician offices before I figured that move out. So
I think that it's half the battle in prospecting, though, is figuring out what absolutely doesn't work so you can figure out what will work.
Yeah. That's also true for dating, by the way.
Well, dude, there is so much correlation between dating and freaking business. It's
ridiculous. I can't tell you how many bad virtual coffees I've had through the dating world.
And how many times you get catfished?
Oh my God. I'm not even going to have that conversation on there. That's terrible.
So at least in business prospecting, the odds are their picture's only going to be from 20 years ago sometimes.
I was giving Jonathan at the summit over the weekend so much crap about his pictures on LinkedIn and Facebook, because I'm like, you're literally catfishing people. No one is going to recognize you when they see you. He's like, yeah, I don't like headshots. I'm like, dude, it's not that hard. There's a camera right there. They'll do one for you.
I'm pretty sure Bernie says the same thing. He doesn't like headshots. Doesn't want people to see that big old.
Absolutely not.
Oh, too funny. All right, I don't have a split screen for this one either. We got this monster, with all these transitions and stuff. We are freaking professional as hell. I love it. All right, let's do Big Fat Liar. How the hell does this work?
So this is for all our listeners and watchers this morning. We are each going to tell a story about something that happened in our life. And one of us, however, is going to be a big fat liar. And the story they tell is going to be totally made up. And it is our listeners' job to figure out which one of us is being less than honest with them.
Each one of us will tell a freaking story for today, because I'm not sure we have enough listeners in right now to be able to get comments on it. So we'll try it anyway. See who wants to go first. Tell whatever their big fat lie there is, because I've got one. But go ahead.
I'll go first. So, as you guys remember, a few weeks ago, we told the story about climbing the mountain in Scottsdale and doing all that fun stuff. So, on that exact same trip, I got the opportunity to go look at some suites for the Phoenix, Arizona Diamondbacks baseball stadium. And on the tour, the lady said when we were down in like the vestibule area where the players are and stuff like that, if we see anybody famous, we see any baseball players, we're not allowed to speak to them. So we're going to the elevator to head back up to where the actual suites are up high. And Tony La Russa, the former manager of the St. Louis Cardinals, was standing right next to me. And I turned around, and I was a huge fan of the Cardinals. I turned around like, holy shit, you're Tony La Russa. And we're not supposed to be talking to people, right? So he looks at me and he goes, what's your name? And this little gal that's giving me the tour, her eyes are like this big, because we're not supposed to talk to anybody. And I said, my name's Keith. And he goes, holy shit, it's Keith. And then he slaps me on the back. And he goes, are you enjoying the day? And I'm like, I'm just taking a quick tour here real quick. And I said, man, I'm a huge fan of you. And I lived in St. Louis. You guys won a couple World Series. It was amazing. And he goes, well, then here, do this. And he grabbed both World Series rings and let me put them on my finger. And we took a picture together with me holding both of his World Series rings on my hand. And it was the coolest moment on the planet. When we got in the elevator, the young gal goes, that's never happened. I can't believe you spoke to him. He spoke back because it was his rule that people are not allowed to speak to people. She goes, I can't believe you did that. She goes, I'm shaking.
She's like, I'm afraid I'm going to get fired now when you leave.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I got a different one than I was going to use, but we'll keep with the baseball theme because that's fun. So my wife calls me one day and she says, I've been in a car wreck. And I said, what do you mean you've been in a car wreck? And she goes, I was driving through the parking lot and I just got T-boned. I'm like, are you okay? Where are you at? She goes, I'm in like a Kohl's parking lot or something. And she goes, the police are there. And I said, well, where are you at? I'll come to you. And so she had to hang up the phone because the police were showing up. So I didn't get there, and by the time the police had taken their notes and everything, I was way across town. But by the time I finally get there, her car had been T-boned, the headlights had been popped out of the damn thing, and she's really upset at this point. And I'm like, well, what did the cops say? And they said they found me at fault. And I said, how did you get T-boned and be found at fault? And then she showed me the name of the person that hit her. The name was Kevin Minch from the Texas Rangers. So as one day I'm going to get to see Kevin face to face because Keith and Kevin are actually good friends. So one day I get to tell Kevin Minch this story in person, which is going to be great.
Kevin, if you're watching this morning, by the way, I haven't told Kevin the story.
I know. That's why it's even better. So, but yeah, Kevin Minch, Texas Rangers, T-boned my wife in a parking lot, and my wife got the fault of it. So that's my story.
So on my deployment, here's my story. On my deployment with the Red Bulls back in 2011, 2012, I got to do a bonus trip to Afghanistan.
What does this got to do with baseball?
Didn't say there was a topic for it today. So I got to do a bonus trip to Afghanistan, and while I was there, I actually got to go tour their presidential palace and check out, how the rich live in Afghanistan. It was pretty opulent.
What does opulent mean?
Luxurious. Why
couldn't you just say luxurious?
Luxurious.
Well, there's opulent is a level above luxurious.
Have you met the level of followers we have on this show? Nobody can spell it.
Keith,
Bernie knew what it meant.
Keith just said our followers are dumb.
Yeah,
Bernie's not a follower. He's on the show.
So I got to go through it, multiple levels, lots of marble, lots of gold plating, including the bathroom. So like the fixtures were all gold. This immense, ultra intricate mosaic work on all the ceilings. It was just absolutely amazing.
Sounds very opulent.
Yeah, very opulent. So, but yeah, so I got to go tour a foreign palace on my deployment, and we weren't clearing it and shooting people. We were actually getting to tour it and walk through. It was this wasn't a combat tour of the palace.
Sounds like a meticulously opulistic opportunity. Good for you.
That's very I can't even say the fucking words.
He's Googling bullshit words.
He's trying to Google the word that he can use. It sounds
He's
smart.
He's got a thesaurus open. He doesn't know how to spell thesaurus.
All right. Well, my story, I'll take you guys back to 1995. I was a young 15-year-old trying to make my way in.
Is there old 15-year-olds?
Well, I mean, I had a mustache when I was 15, so I was, looked pretty old.
Oh my God.
So I was going to play for this baseball team. It was a team that was international. They were going to Puerto Rico to play their hand-picked national team. I got up to bat. I was the only guy there, and 20 people to try out to put one over the fence, put it right into the windshield of a Cadillac.
Oh, nice.
Wait. Now, which fence? The one behind you or the one in
front? No. The home run fence. Yeah. The right fence. The right fence.
All right. Sometimes
getting it over, if you're batting and you can get it over the fence or the net behind you and break something, that is also really impressive.
That is also cricket.
Right. He's like, I hit it over the fence. It was a dugout, but I still hit it over the fence. So if you're watching along and you think Jennifer's like 15 in 1995, geez. I think you just got called either really young or really old. I'm not really sure there.
Yeah.
But if you think you know who the big fat liar is from Kevin.
Which one of us is full of shit?
Well, Keith, it's obviously you. So who's got the story that is full of shit? Is it Kevin's in the palace, Keith with Tony La Russa, Bernie hitting a foul ball, or me and my wife getting T-boned by a Texas Ranger? Who do you think it is? We'll give it a few minutes, see if that will come through. Who do you think it is, Jennifer? Right?
15 in 1995, Jennifer. I'm going to think. In 1995, I would have been 20.
You've been 20 because I was 18.
20 or 21, yeah.
Yeah.
I was 23.
Kevin, we already know you're fucking old.
What'd you say, Pappy?
Oh, Jennifer says it's me.
Says Donnie is full of shit.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, Jennifer, I'm not. That's a true story.
It is a true story.
Normally, you would be correct.
And it's not. It is true too. Like several years later, Kevin and I actually coached youth baseball together, and I've known Kevin now for 5 or 6 years, and we're going to an event soon, and I still have not told him the story that it was my sister-in-law that he T-boned in a parking lot. And I will tell you this, Donnie, he is actually on the board for the Keller Police Department and does a lot of fundraising for them.
Yeah,
which is probably why
he got out of it. Yeah. So I
guarantee you, he'll laugh about it.
No. My luck, I've been pissed all these years, and it was a different Kevin Lynch. He should be like, no, dude, that wasn't me.
Yeah. But people say all the time, because Kevin's in the Texas Rangers Hall of Fame. He hit like 6 home runs, 6 games in a row or something like that. But he's got an MLB record for the largest hat size in MLB history. So he's got his podcast called Big Head Shrek Podcast.
What you're saying is he's got an ego.
Yeah, he's definitely got an ego.
So you and Kevin share that, you have the record for the largest hat size in Success Champions. So
it's funny, Kevin, you keep saying that, and I have a 7 1/4 size head, right? So I wear a small medium when I do like the fitted caps and stuff. So I've got an extremely tiny head.
Yeah, I don't know what my hat size is. No fucking clue.
So I like fitted hats, so I know I'm a 7 1/4 in a cowboy hat or a baseball cap. So Bernie probably knows. What's your hat size, Bernie?
7 1/4.
There you go. Great minds.
Is 7 1/4 a big hat size?
No. It's average is like 7 1/2, 7 3/8, something like this.
Oh, so. Good. So 6 inches is a good thing. Got it.
We're talking around.
Got it.
Not sure which dimension.
If he wears a 6, then he is definitely a pinhead.
All right, so let's do this. Bernie, were you lying?
Nope.
Bernie, you were telling the truth. He actually hit a dinger. Over the home run fence, not the foul fence.
Not foul.
Giving him shit about that.
Center field.
And just so everybody knows too, I actually was telling the truth. So I have the picture of me and Tony La Russa with both his World Series rings on in the basement of the Arizona Diamondback Stadium. He was really actually a cool guy.
If you go through Keith's LinkedIn feed, you'll actually see he posted about that one time. Pictures and everything on there.
Yeah, it's been about a year, so I figured I was safe to tell it.
So that would mean I was the liar.
That means that Optimus Prime is full of shit.
So there are actually a few ways that I could have made that story true. I did actually go to Afghanistan for a month, and I did actually tour a palace while I was in Afghanistan, except it was their old palace prior to Russia dropping multiple bombs on it. So we got to walk through their old one that was up on a hill. It was still really amazing, even though it was pretty much a shelled out husk. I also could have made it true if I would have, instead of saying the presidential palace in Afghanistan, if I would have said I got to tour Saddam Hussein's palace in Baghdad. And all the descriptions I had for it were actually from getting to walk around the Saddam's palace. He had one. Both of his sons had one. Theirs weren't quite as nice, but Saddam's literally had the mosaic that had the gold inlay in his bathrooms. It was nuts. He had a swimming pool that was actually an MWR location for us. So if you're off duty, you could actually swim in Saddam's pool. He had this giant moat that he basically took all this water from the river and made a moat that had what we would call giant carp swimming around, but they had been like koi at one point. So, but he had these huge giant like fish swimming around in there. So yeah, I did get to I did actually tour a palace, just not the presidential palace in Afghanistan.
Too funny. I'll save my other one for the next time, but I've got a pretty famous horse that I can't wait to share that story for another round. So what is on y'all's agenda for this week? Anything big, crazy happening in y'all's world coming up that you want to talk about?
I have a lot of things coming up. I just can't talk about them. A lot of disqualifying to do this week.
Yeah.
You don't disqualify.
You know what? I would say, talking about the Badass Business Summit that's coming up as well. I was having this conversation earlier this morning with somebody that was on the fence whether or not to come. And I'm getting excited that we're within, 6 weeks now of getting to the Badass Business Summit. And the coolest thing that I witnessed, this is what I was telling my buddy this morning, the coolest thing that I witnessed last year for this was the number of incredible friendships, relationships, and collaborations that happened live on the spot. People that didn't know each other on day one that are now still best friends to this day, a year later, right? Yeah. After day 4, and they're inseparable and doing business and collaborating. That was the coolest thing I saw in person last year at this event. I'm looking forward to it again.
Yeah, 100%. I would say for me, the stories and like the aftermath of the summit and the things that happened and the things that were built through those collaborations has been pretty damn impressive to watch how much some of these companies have grown. So
it's always, because we're always so busy during the event, right? So it's always cool to hear these stories. They're like, oh shit, I didn't know that happened, because we're running around trying to get the speakers up on stage and doing this and organizing that and everything else. So it is great that being on site and having so much close proximity to everybody is it's an amazing experience. So
yeah, and I heard from a couple people that Kevin's training last week and becoming a champion. He got quite a bit of feedback on that one. So we're gonna get that one, chopped up and put on, the tab or the circle, so people can go back and see that. So, Barney, anything exciting coming up this week?
Well, not this week, but 2 weeks from now, I am going to be a dad.
I know.
Yay!
How do you? Is it scheduled?
Scheduled C-section, yep. So
nice.
Could happen anytime before then, but it definitely will not happen after.
Are you sure it's yours?
I am 100% sure.
It's going to come out with a mustache.
She better not.
Dude, if you don't do an early picture with a big ass mustache on her, I'm gonna be highly disappointed.
What's that pizza company you can buy in the store that actually gets a cardboard cutout mustache?
I've seen that one.
Yeah, I used to get them in Florida all the time, and you can get that, put that on your baby daughter, little mustache. That'd be awesome.
So I will say, at Zach's Summit, Hildy did all the promotional items, and she did really, really cool books that I thought were nice. But the pin she brought, I sat right next to her, and the pin she brought that came in this were horrible, these square, awkward things. And I looked at Hildy, I said, Hildy, I hate this fucking pin. And she smiled and just handed me a pin. She goes, I knew. And then brought a pin for me that's got a fucking fidget spinner on the top of it. Dude, I'm sitting here spinning the shit out of this damn thing.
That's fucking awesome.
Yeah, he only had one little doodle on his page.
Yeah.
That must have been done prior to the fidget spinner showing up.
Yeah.
I need that fidget spinner in my life, Hildy.
So it was pretty cool. So another comment. Congratulations, Barney.
Thanks, Jennifer.
All right, so coming up on training this week, I am teaching Thursday prospecting 101. We are going to break this shit down big bird style and show you the different ways to prospect and make sure you get it all dialed in for your business. Then on the 17th, I'm teaching client retention best practices. Kevin is teaching on the 24th, unlocking customer value. And then we'll do the bonus episode on the 31st where you get a chance to come ask questions, get some exposure for your business. On August 11th is the Build the Business Freedom Workshop. You can find that on LinkedIn. Have a bunch of people coming to that. Then we have the Badass Business Summit, September 20th through the 23rd in Fort Worth, Texas. Only a couple of VIP tickets left on that, and just a handful of regular tickets. So you're going to want to get your ticket fast. If you haven't got your hotel room, please do that. They've reached out to me again saying the rooms are going out very, very quickly because of the TCU football weekend. So other than that, unless you guys got anything else, man, y'all have a badass week. Freaking keep rocking and rolling. If we can do anything for us, let you know.